I am super that everyone's able to make it here, so thank you for being here. Thank you for coming today and taking some time out of January and busy week to look after yourselves and be a part of this community. For those of you that might not know me, I am Jasmine. I've been to my husband Ryder for almost 14 years. We call Stony Plain home and have 9-year-old twin boys, Nathaniel and Vincent, a 7-year-old daughter, Ladare, and our 4-year-old son, Malachi. It is loud and busy at our home all the time. Anytime you come and visit, it is going to be exciting. I am also the photographer and publisher here behind Heartheld Magazine. I started actively pursuing photography as a business when my youngest was a newborn. I was already trying to capture the moments of my kids, and it was a natural extension into growing into capturing moments for families and friends. The first year in business as a photographer was a whirlwind. I was figuring out all the basics of owning a business and trying to figure out what that would look like for myself and my family. That new business also happened to be the start of a pandemic, which I think for everyone was chaos. I hope it wasn't just us. But I don't think any of us really knew what we were getting into. Every time I would turn on the news, there was this influx of high-stress information. My close-knit circle of friends and family was feeling the effects of it in one way or another. There was so much division and unknown, and throughout it, most of us were just barely above ground. People were saying, hey, life is heavy, life is hard, we are drowning here. In motherhood, in our businesses, our work lives, in our family lives, with our health, and we were being met with one of two things. Either we were being told, you're amazing, you've got this, I don't know how you do it. And when you open up to the world about how hard you are struggling, and you are told that you're doing amazing, it is hard not to feel completely dismissed. Like that person either doesn't know how much you are struggling, or they just don't have the capacity to hold space and care about that. From the outside looking in, you look like you have it enough together that they're just gonna let you do your thing. Or the other vein of thought seemed to be 12 steps to a better you. 5 things you have to be doing every Monday. How to make it through this pandemic better than ever. This is the program you need to not be yourself. There was so much pressure to handle everything and the stress of the world right. To be constantly adaptable, making the right choices, doing the right things, go with the flow, and it was a lot. It also wasn't practical. Neither option was going to be sustainable. And the destination that I saw at the end of either of those options was a stressed out, angry, despondent, bitter person. And so in the beginning of 2022, I looked myself in the mirror and went, okay, whoa, whoa, whoa. The world is heavy. Life is a lot. And I don't like where either of these routes go. I was looking for something that was different, that was authentic and real, acknowledging life and where the world is at. That sometimes things are legit hard, without being a mirage of bad news bears. I wanted real, but not totally depressive, despondent, an optimistic and hopeful interpretation of the world. But I also didn't want to be in spaces that crossed over into toxic positivity. Think it all away, you just have to try harder. I needed something that could exist within the Venn diagram of all of that being true. I kept coming back to the idea that I needed something more tangible. In a world of Zoom and virtual reality, as much as I had tried, existing solely in that space wasn't filling my cup, or my heart. And so in a dervish, out of all of these intense feelings, I created the January edition of Heartheld Magazine. It was like 10 pages. It was all written by me. It was everything that I was feeling, and I threw some photographs into it. Then I made my family, my friends, and my neighbor read it. They were amazing. And it just connected me with this incredible village. I was not alone in how I was feeling, and it was resonating with a lot of people. So much so that by February, after sending out only that one edition, I realized that this was going to grow into something that was bigger than myself. This was an idea that was going to be bigger than I had realized or imagined. And Jess from Sweet Simple Collabs agreed. She saw the first edition and jumped on board to bring the second edition to life. She knew Lynn, and we got together into brainstorming ideas and everything that was on our hearts. And we came to the conclusion that this was something that needed to be out in the world. Later on in our journey, we were blessed to meet Chantel, who also felt passionate and excited about a lot of these same ideas. And so we had the idea, we had the heart, we knew it was resonating with the world, but then came the, what does this look like in a practical sense? When you have a really big idea with so much heart, it's special and it's exciting, and it can be tempting to use that energy, the energy surrounding it, as fuel. And for a while, everything is magical and amazing, and then it's overwhelming, and there's a big crash and personal burnout. Because an idea and a heart isn't enough of a foundation to build big adventures out of. The only way to build sustainable adventure is to work from a place of true rest. To have yourself and your cup be so full that that energy is just naturally exploding out of you and into the world. We've all heard that you can't pour from an empty cup, but something we have to realize is that filling our cups is more than doing the occasional thing here and there and saying, we did that thing for ourselves, good enough. Working from a place of rest means that we fill our lives with enough margin and space for all 7 types of rest. That we leave space for physical rest, sleeping, eating regularly, taking care of what our bodies need. That we leave space for mental rest, letting our brains reach a place of calm and safe peace. That we leave space for sensory rest, unplugging, disconnecting from the world, and the go, go, go hustle, the noise, the lights, the computers, and our phones. That we leave space for creative rest, giving yourself the time and space and things you need to let the creative ideas come to you, and not forcing yourself to put out an output of creative energy. That we leave space for emotional rest, having the time, space, and safety to freely express our thoughts and our feelings. That we leave space for social rest, time with those that fill and rejuvenate our heart. And that we leave time for spiritual rest, pursuing things that we believe in. This is a lot of resting, and most of us underestimate the amount of space, time, and margin we have to leave in our lives to be truly rested. It's not going to be just an hour here or there, once a month, bam, we're good to go. A lot of us as women and as mothers and as professionals put a self-care appointment on the calendar, check it off our to-do list, and then wonder why we're still burnt out. It takes more than an hour to ourselves. If we take more than an hour to ourselves, we start to feel guilty and like we should be rejuvenated. We had our time, buck up, start hustling. A lot of us have never even experienced truly deep rest and working from that place. But being able to do that, being able to work from a place of being rested is life-changing. in a magical and beautiful way. Ideas that come from a place of rest are stronger in their clarity. Efficiency, when you are working from a balanced, rested state, is increased. Self-regulation, when you are well rested, happens so much more naturally. The spaces you put your well-rested energy into will sparkle and light up. But this means having a lot of space in our life dedicated to rest and to becoming that well-rested, sparkling, magical version of ourselves. And the only way to leave enough space in life to work from a place of rest is to be ruthless in deciding what is important to us. What gets access to our time in the first place? If everything is important, nothing is important. Patrick Lencioni says that. And he is right. Not everything gets to be of the same importance and the same value in our life. Not everything deserves our energy, attention, and magic in the same ways. And what's important to each person is allowed to look completely different. What's important to me will never be the same things that are important to you. And that's not only okay, it's wonderful. You just have to make sure that you are in the driver's seat and that you're the one that's deciding what's important to you. And once you know what's important to you, you can't let the urgent get in the way of being important. Life is going to throw everything at us because it's life. There is always something. You have to do it by tomorrow. This has to happen right this minute. If you haven't already done this in life, you are failing. And that sense of urgency over everything in the world is a complete lie. Most things are not as urgent as they are made to seem. So when life throws something at us and there's all this urgent pressure surrounding it, we need to learn to pause and ask ourselves, is this truly an emergency? Or is this sense of urgency fabricated through our rushed world, heavy workloads, unrealistic expectations, and poor communication? You'll be surprised at how many things are urgent because the expectations are unrealistic. The world was expecting you to be a robot, hustling and achieving at a constant productivity that isn't realistic for a human being. Someone with thoughts and feelings that gets sick, has creative ebbs and flows, expecting constant linear progress is unrealistic. You'll be surprised at how many things are urgent because the workload is too high. We are expecting one singular person to do the workload of multiple people across multiple fields, and we're expecting them to do it all well and happily. You'll be surprised at how many things are urgent because the outside world is telling you this should be important to you, when it actually isn't in alignment with what calls to you. When we let the world tell us what is important to us, the list is going to be endless. There are so many incredible and amazing things in the world. There are causes that need support, friends and family to walk beside, communities to uplift. Just because it is valid and it is important doesn't mean it is in alignment with what is important to you. You cannot be everything to everyone. If everything is important, nothing is important. It becomes impossible to prioritize our lives in a way where we are leaving enough time and space and margin for rest because we're trying to do everything for everyone. We have to be confident in knowing ourselves and truly answering the question, what is important to me? And then ruthlessly, not letting the noise and the urgency and what everybody is telling us take over those important things. But how do we do that? How do we not let the urgent take over the important? We build community and rely on one another to balance it out. If we can truly embrace the idea that we are not meant to be everything to everyone, then we recognize that there are spaces in our life where we need someone else. We are not meant to walk this world alone. Rather, we are meant to be surrounded and uplifted by people whose strengths are different from ours. And the best part is, the places where we are weak are the important, in alignment places for someone else. So it not only is it a wonderful thing for you to be saying no to that, taking it off of your to-do list, it is a wonderful thing for them to be jumping in and saying yes to that. That is their time and their moment to shine. I mentioned that most of us underestimate the amount of space, time, and margin is needed in order to be truly rested. And this can ring true for community as well. Often we will find ourselves saying, well, I asked for help over here, so now I should be able to do the rest of this on my own. I outsourced this task, so now I need to be extra productive over here. But there is no limit to the amount of community or rest we deserve. We do not have to earn rest by being productive. And we do not have to earn community by needing so little of it. We are worthy of rest just because. As much rest as we need. We are worthy of as much support as it takes to thrive. Not just to exist, but to truly thrive. Even if that means that we need support in every single step of our day. If that's what it takes for us to be the best versions of ourselves, that's completely allowed. You're allowed to need help at home. You're allowed to need help in parenting, in your work, in exercising, health journeys, with your mental health, with your business. You're allowed to need an abundance of community and an abundance of rest. And right now, it's the beginning of a new year where a lot of us are setting our goals, we're taking on new adventures. And while we're doing that, we have a really great opportunity. We have an opportunity here to change our mindsets, where we stop asking, have I done enough to deserve rest? And we start asking ourselves the real question, which is, have I rested enough to show up as my best self? Mostly all you needed to listen to me, but I wanted to say a huge thank you to everybody that has helped come together today. So you see Jess there, she's holding the baby. She did all of the tech stuff. She did I wanted to say thank you to Lynn and the beautiful yoga class that she led us through today. Over there, all those yogurts that we loved, all the food setup, all of that was her, and she did amazing at it, so it's been wonderful. And now everybody gets to take their bed that's on the table, get to come back up for your gratitude, make sure you're trying all of the juices, and when you get a chance, we want you guys to head over to the self-care table and choose 10 of the items that call to your heart. As I mentioned, self-care is meant to be super individual. What works for me isn't going to be what works for you. And so some of those items will call to your heart, some of them won't. And you're just supposed to follow your lead. And please put 10 items in your bag and take those home and take a few moments of rest and relaxation and self-care in your own home. Thanks for coming, everybody.